Yeah, that's a random background. I don't know where that one came from, but yeah, it
Huh?
looks quite
Looks
quite
good.
minimalist. Minimalist.
Yeah, yeah, looks good.
Embark on an exciting journey in the United States, where you'll uncover stories of dreams and endless possibilities. The country is a beacon of academic excellence and houses 8 of the top 10 universities globally. In the USA, diversity isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of life. This offers students an invaluable opportunity to engage, learn, and thrive in a multicultural environment. Beyond academics, the USA opens doors to a world of opportunities, with graduates often finding their place in Fortune 500 companies. We know the decision to study abroad is a mix of excitement and apprehension. That's where AECC steps in. We're your compass, guiding you through every step of your journey. From course selection, university application, visa processing, to pre-departure briefings, our end-to-end services are completely free. Ready to chase your American dream? Connect with AECC today, and let's turn your dream into a reality. Fill out the contact form to get started. Embark on an exciting journey in the United States, where you'll uncover stories of dreams and endless possibilities. The country is a beacon of academic excellence and houses 8 of the top 10 universities globally. In the USA, diversity isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of life. This offers students an invaluable opportunity to engage, learn, and thrive in a multicultural environment. Beyond academics, the USA opens doors to a world of opportunities, with graduates often finding their place in Fortune 500 companies. We know the decision to study abroad is a mix of excitement and apprehension. That's where AECC steps in. We're your compass, guiding you through every step of your journey. From course selection, university application, visa processing, to pre-departure briefings, our end-to-end services are completely free. Ready to chase your American dream? Connect with AECC today, and let's turn your dream into a reality. Fill out the contact form to get started. Embark on an exciting journey in the United States, where you'll uncover stories of dreams and endless possibilities. The country is a beacon of academic excellence and houses 8 of the top 10 universities globally. In the USA, diversity isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of life. This offers students an invaluable opportunity to engage, learn, and thrive in a multicultural environment. Beyond academics, the USA opens doors to a world of opportunities, with graduates often finding their place in Fortune 500 companies. We know the decision to study abroad is a mix of excitement and apprehension. That's where AECC steps in. We're your compass, guiding you through every step of your journey. From course selection, university application, visa processing, to pre-departure briefings, our end-to-end services are completely free. Ready to chase your American dream? Connect with AECC today, and let's turn your dream into a reality. Fill out the contact form to get started.
Okay, good evening from Indonesia and good morning to you, Peter and Joe. My name is Floren. I will be your host today, and today webinar session we will be deep dive into the future and high demand degree in University of North Texas. As we know that University of North Texas is one of the top university nationwide and has so many top degree, and today we will learn more about University of North Texas with us, with Peter and also with Joe. And without further ado, the floor is yours, Peter.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Flo. Thank you, Donnie, for hosting us here this evening. This morning, Texas time, Joe and I are just getting into work. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning here. I understand that where most of you guys are at, it's 12 hours time difference, so it's going to be your evening. It's wonderful to be with you. It's wonderful to be with AECC. AECC, an amazing organization where many of the wonderful students who are with us today here in Texas have come through the offices of AECC with you there in Southeast Asia. Quick introductions. My name is Pieter. I direct international student recruitment here at the University of North Texas. I'm no stranger to the region. I was born in Singapore, had the chance to travel many times to the countries in the region where Flo and Donnie are in, I believe you guys are in Jakarta. Been to Jakarta several times. My goodness, your traffic is horrible. But guess what? Your food is great. I love the nasi goreng. And I've had the chance to go to many of the Indonesian islands, Sumatra as well, to Medan and Bandung and Surabaya. So I've been to several places, not as exciting as Joe, who has also recently visited Indonesia and is actually more recently back from another country in Southeast Asia. So Joe, give us a quick introduction as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Knight. I'm the Assistant Director of International Student Recruitment at the University of North Texas. I've been here about 3 years. And then, as Pieter mentioned, I was in Indonesia. I believe it was last October or November. I was participating in some of the AECC roadshows in Jakarta, Surabaya, and Denpasar. So I might have met you if you came by. So if we met, it's good to see you again. And it was my first time being there. It was a wonderful trip. As Pieter mentioned, the food was amazing. And just what an incredible country. So much to explore. So happy to be here this morning or your evening.
And Joe, where are you back from recently?
Vietnam. I was in Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. So that was my first trip to Vietnam as well. So that was fantastic. There's still lots of excitement about studying in the United States there. So had a lot of awesome conversations with students. And so yeah, we're happy to be in the region. We're in the region quite often. So we hope to see you soon.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe, and thanks for joining us this morning so early our time. So you guys, an exciting topic. AECC is really smart in the topics that they choose because they know from you what your questions are, where you are looking to make decisions about which majors to choose for the future. And the future is going to look quite different from what it has looked like in the past, right? My goodness, technology is moving fast. A lot of the new areas of research on our campus are changing like every week. That's how fast the technology is going. Of course, with AI and all the new exciting areas. So what we're going to do this morning here, this evening for you, is to give you a quick roadmap for the 4 most important areas of study. And so that you have on your radar in each of those 4 areas, you have at least 6 possible programs that you could think about that are going to be sure winners for careers of the future. Why are we giving you such a variety? Because in programs in the US, what you can do is next to your core of your program, you can pull in coursework from many different areas and make a very well-rounded degree. That's why it's worth your while, even if you may choose to be an engineer, to listen to some of the choices in business and other areas as well, because you can combine these in the US into your program and come out with a very marketable degree. So with that, let me cue up the presentation. And what we'll do is we'll run through the 4 areas, and then we're going to give you a lot of time at the end of the presentation to ask all your questions. So please jot them down, and we promise we will get to your questions. So I'm going to share a quick presentation. Let me see if I can cue it up. All right, can we all see the big green screen? Yes, are we good? All right, so here we go. So Joe and I are at the University of North Texas, UNT. Here's already a trick. When you see the name of a state in the university name, it's usually a public university. If you see the name of a city, it tends to be a private university. So we're a very large public university in North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so let's advance. So the 4 areas where we're going to talk about trending degrees of the future, where there's sure to be really good jobs, is in engineering, analytics, business, and everything to do with health. So let's jump right in and let's talk a little bit about analytics. Analytics, with the new economy being very much a big data economy, analytics is getting more important for every industry there is, for every profession there is, because as we work in the new economy, the big data economy, there's so much information, so much data to go around that we all have to get really good at our analysis of that data. Way back when the whole toolkit of analysis started, it started at universities in an area called advanced data analytics. Everything to do with regression and modeling and such like. That is still a very important area of study and a really good choice. This is the home of all the sophisticated analytics tools, right? Advanced data analytics. And then, of course, analytics quickly started to get applied to a number of areas where folks are pursuing their career. An obvious area of application is the area of business, where in business, no more intense data-driven than business, right? Where you have the financial markets, where you have data for accounting purposes, where you have data for taxation, where you have market data about what your customer is buying and selling, all those kind of areas of data. The field to study there is business analytics. And then it didn't just stay with business, but now also in the area of engineering, you see that data is becoming more and more an important component of the exciting careers, even in the engineering area. And on our campus, you can study a master's in data engineering, which puts you squarely in that connection between engineering and analytics. So as these fields of study started to develop, a new field came along called data science. And data science is basically the strategic study of information in organizations, right? Not just business organizations, but governmental organizations, hospitals, you name it. Anywhere where there's big data and you have to think about it, the strategic use of that data, that's what data science is all about. And again, in this field, their practice is screaming out for talent that they cannot yet find enough of. And you see data really, and the analysis of data coming into many, many other fields. Online, of course, nowadays it's all about the digital media, the social media, and all those media are very, very data intensive. And to be at the top of your game, for instance, in the management of marketing and social media, you have to be a great analyst as well. And so digital media analytics is a fast-growing field. within the data and analyst space. And then don't forget the age-old field that there's always been in analytics called actuarial science. Actuarial science is the science about risk. And of course, insurance companies have been into this for a long, long time. And risk is also a very important component of being effective in the financial markets. Because as you may have seen recently, the level of what they call volatility is way up in the financial markets, right? Lots more risk. And so actuarial science is the field that teaches you how to analyze and how to mitigate risk. So here are your 6 fields of study in the analytics space that are sure to be a good choice for many years to come. Advanced data analytics, that's where the advanced tools live. Its application in business and engineering, the strategic use of data through data science, and then in the new media and in fields like insurance, the use of analytics to make good decisions. So those are the 6 fields in analytics. So with that, let's do a jump to the second field, which is the field of engineering. And in engineering recently, there's also been big changes. Let's talk about a first area of change that we're seeing. That is the area of new materials. So in material sciences, there have been wonderful breakthroughs, especially at the area of what they call nanotechnology. Nano is, of course, the smallest particle that we're able to characterize nowadays. And around that, there have been wonderful advances, especially in the area of semiconductor fabrication. And on our campus, we have a center for nanofabrication. You see a picture there. It's you may refer to this in the past as a clean room, right? This is where at that very small particle level, very sophisticated data carriers like chips, computer chips, are produced. So material science is a very exciting field at the heart of this big data revolution, right? Because that big data has to live somewhere, and it lives on these computer chips. Other areas within material sciences that are excited, of course, are stronger, lighter materials. Think about aircrafts and aircraft engines, right, which have to be both strong and light. And think about energy carriers. That means batteries. Nowadays, with the electric vehicle revolution, we're all looking for better, longer lasting batteries for our cars and many other devices that depend on electricity storage. All right, so that's one true field where you're going to have an amazing career as you start out in that field. And then there's a very fast growing field where engineering and biology are coming together in biomedical engineering. What you're seeing here is a 3D printer used to print organs, synthetic organs, just amazing new developments that will have big impact on the world's large diseases. And then another area of research, especially in Dallas-Fort Worth, that is worth keeping an eye on is everything to do with the flying robot. Flying robots, also known as drones. Drones are used for many different applications. Just a couple of months ago, I was in Vietnam and I saw that Grab, the organization that does delivery and taxis as well, but also delivery, they are now studying drones. They're doing research on our campus here in North Texas to have food delivery drones that'll bring your banh mi sandwich right to your door. So exciting new area of robotics, and of course drones as well, very energy intensive. So they need stronger, lighter batteries to operate. And then within engineering, there are three fields that are also strongly affected by this new wave of big data. First of all, and we've talked about it already, is data engineering. Everything to do with how do you structure the carriers of data. Second, there is, of course, the whole trend around artificial intelligence. How do you use algorithms? How do you learn from big data through machine learning and those kind of applications? And finally, how do you keep all that big data safe, right? Cyber security. The data doesn't just live on your computer. It lives very much in the cloud now, which means it's a distributed data set. And so the field of cybersecurity, sure to be a really good choice for the next 5 to 10 years, for sure, for careers of the future. So let's sum this up for the second area of study, engineering. There's the very fast-growing area of material sciences. Then there is where biology and engineering comes together in biomedical engineering. Then there is the area, this usually lives in electrical engineering labs called robotics and mechanical engineering for the flying robots, the drones. And then there's the big data revolution in engineering with data engineering, AI, and cybersecurity. So there's your 6 fields for engineering. Let's turn to a third area. The third area has everything to do with health. No surprise there, right? After the world pandemic and with many of our societies having an aging population, health is becoming more and more of an important area and an area where governments are making huge investments. So let's look at the fields within healthcare where you can have a great career. Of course, at the heart of health is biology, right? Biology, biochemistry, and increasingly everything to do with DNA and genes. This is it's already been for a good 20, 25 years. It's been an excellent choice of study. And this is sure to continue for the foreseeable future. And the developments just keep getting more and more exciting in that interface, biology, chemistry, and genomics. Then we've talked about this already within healthcare, of course. Engineering is playing a very important role. Think of fields like prosthetics and exoskeletons and all those areas which are helping people with health disabilities to still carry on a very productive life. And then the field where a lot of the health applications are applied is, of course, the field called kinesiology, which has everything to do with muscles, and nutrition, everything to do with food, right? And the applications that are really exciting on our campus is where these two applications come together for athletics and sports and coaching of athletes. Really cool area of which is high tech, but its application is in sports and athletics. Also in rehabilitation, right? With an older population who, after perhaps a fall, they're brought back to being able to function. And then, like in the other fields, data is everywhere. The health field, till just 10 years ago or so, was still very much an analog field, right? Analog means paper. And now, recently, of course, very much this is also a huge data field. And so here, areas of healthcare administration, health informatics are again sure choices for the future, where if you're good at your analytics and you have an interest in the health field, this is a really marketable combination for you. And then, predictably, because a lot of our societies are helping an aging population, there's the field of applied gerontology. Applied gerontology is using all the technologies, all the data, all the policy insights we have to ensure a better quality of life for our aging population. And finally, in the healthcare field, one more field that I would recommend you definitely look into for exciting careers is everything to do with mental health and addiction. Mental health and addiction, thank goodness, just recently, the last 10 years or so, there's been a recognition that this is a major affliction for many people throughout their life. I know if I haven't had my cup of coffee in the morning, I'm not the happiest person either. And so mental health is real, mental health is serious, and it is amazing everything that science is doing to come up with really great solutions to deal with a lot of mental health suffering that is out there. The other challenge, of course, has been the challenge of addiction. And again, there we're making amazing strides in helping those afflicted with addiction. So here in health, you see that these are very well-funded fields. These are high-tech fields, and they are sure to have careers of the future for many, many years to come. It starts with biology, biochem. In engineering, there's a big component of health. There is the exercise science, kinesiology, and everything to do with healthy food choices, nutrition science. And then there's big data in health informatics. And there's the application of health solutions to aging populations, mental health challenges, all those kind of applications. So again, health, a sure choice field for the future. Finally, the fourth area is the area of business. And business at the moment is very much in development as well. In many business organizations, when I visit the business organizations on our doorstep here in Dallas-Fort Worth, many of them have changed. In the past, they were used to be like very corporate in these office parks, and everything looked the same, right? Desks and computers. Now a lot of companies are looking much more like research centers, and they're getting into the new technologies. So business is going through an exciting new phase. At the heart of that phase, of course, is everything to do with making a profit for the future. And a profit for the future is not assured in a market that is very uncertain. And so central to the exciting careers at the moment in business are careers around risk and insurance. These careers have been there for a long, long time, but the tools, the analytics tools are getting more exciting every day, and the challenges, the uncertainty, the volatility in the market are certainly very big as well. So if finance, risk and insurance is your interest, that's a really good choice for the future. Second, business organizations are getting less and less just unitary, one factory kind of organizations. They are now very much part of a network of companies where they source their materials, where they distribute their products around the world through networks. And so a very fast-growing area of study and professional careers in business is the area of supply chain and logistics. Dallas-Fort Worth, because of our location in the center and south of the country, we are a major logistics hub with all of the big logistics service providers right here on our doorstep at a massive airport operation called DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth. And so if you want to be at the heart of global supply chains, and we have on our campus a top 5 ranked research center for supply chain and logistics. This is again an area of study and an area of professions that is a sure winner for the next years. And then, of course, in how products are bought and sold, there is a big shift from the main street kind of stores to online. And so everything around digital retail, blockchain, all the new technologies for online retail are growing very quickly. We have our own department of merchandising on our campus where you can learn the latest techniques and technologies that are used for effective online commerce. And then in business, as in all the other fields, of course, there's very much the need to deal with all that massive data that is available these days. And so within business, that comes under the study of business analytics. Within business analytics, if you love dashboards, if you love visualization of data to make complex decisions easy to see, there's wonderful components of business analytics in the area of the use of dashboards and such like. Really cool field. Second, within that data area, because business organizations are now these massive data organizations, there is the challenge of how do you manage that knowledge and how do you keep your employees learning. And so there's an exciting field called learning technologies and knowledge management on our campus. You already see there's NASA Lab. You can imagine NASA, the space agency in Texas here, is one of the largest data organizations in the world. And there's really cool technologies like the virtual reality goggles and such like to deal with these massive data sets and help people learn effectively using a lot of knowledge. And then finally, a lot of business organizations have realized that basically they got too big. They know that they have to act nimble, that they have to adjust quickly to market trends. And so within a lot of business organizations, there's now a need for entrepreneurship and what they call intrapreneurship. Intrapreneurship is entrepreneurship within a big organization. So how can you start a small business within a bigger business organization? This is the way forward that a lot of business organizations are choosing to make themselves more nimble and responsive to customer trends while still maintaining scale. And so within our business school, courses in intrapreneurship are in high demand, and those are really good for the demand of many different companies who are looking now to be more responsive to the new markets. So to summarize, in business, first and foremost, there's still that need of how do you deal with risk through risk management. Business organizations increasingly are network organizations. Supply chain and logistics is at the heart of that. Business organizations are increasingly digital organizations, online. And so digital merchandising and retail is a sure field of the future. And then the analytics of all that data, the learning from that data, and the way that the business ventures are structured themselves to be more nimble and entrepreneurial. So those are our recommendations for the 6 areas within business. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to drop out of the formal presentation and we're going to get to your questions, and we're going to see how we can line you up to get involved in these exciting fields. All right. So Florencia, maybe you can take a look and tell us what kind of questions are you hearing from your students?
All right, thank you so much, Peter, for the explanation and the presentation. Do my voice clear? Because from now we have a question. Hi, Joe and Peter. Before I talk about my choice and major, I have a concern. I never been to the US, so most of my information come from social media. From what I've seen, it seems unsafe, especially for Muslim students like me who wear hijab. Is it that really the case, especially in Texas? And what is the situation actually like over there? Would you like to share a
Yeah,
bit about the
I'll
student life
start.
in
Of course,
UNT?
I'll start off, and then Joe can add his insights as well. Um, I think it's a wonderful question. I think one of the factors that's really important for international students is that they feel safe in the environment where they're studying, right? And so in the past, there's been some discussion about how welcoming the US is to people from many, many different cultures. And the answer is a complicated one. The US is a enormous island, right? It's a huge continent. And in that continent, there are many people who have never traveled outside of the US, whose world has basically been their own village, their own city within that massive country called USA. Some in rural areas, like that, right? And so within that massive population, there are population groups who are much less familiar with the rest of the world, right? Who've lived always within their own community, their own religion, their own customs, their own foods. And so they have no idea what nasi goreng is, right? And so you have to understand that for that part of the US population, it is sometimes a stretch for them to see a Muslim person with hijab and to even understand your culture, your world, your wonderful customs, how many, many people of the Muslim faith are some of the kindest people you meet, right? So there is for groups within the US, usually in the more remote areas, there is a backlog in them learning about the rest of the world. And you see this ignorance play out, no doubt, right? Especially in some extreme social media. By and large, on campuses, you'll find a very different kind of population. Campuses, one, they tend to focus on science, they tend to be somewhat higher educated than the average citizen around the country. People on campuses have an interest in everything about technology and international. Many of them have had the chance to travel. Many of them are much better informed about the rest of the world. Many of them have had a chance to meet Muslim people either in the Middle East or in Malaysia, Indonesia, or many other countries around the world. And so I think you have to distinguish between a general dialogue, which you see in some social media, which quite frankly, is not terribly well informed, and the context where you'll be studying, where in fact on a campus like at North Texas, we have many students from Muslim countries. They are super welcome here. And you'll see several of the ladies from those countries wearing the hijab right here on campus and fitting in just fine with the degree of diversity that is here. Joe, do you want to add an observation to that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as Peter was mentioning, we have a large and vibrant Muslim student community at UNT. There is a mosque, a beautiful mosque in Denton, so students can worship. And I one of the fun parts of some of my travels has been going to Saudi Arabia and meeting with some of our alumni there. And one of the fun things that we do is we just get together and they talk about UNT and they talk about Denton and how much they miss it. So it is a really welcoming community. It's a welcoming college town. We're in a smaller city. So Denton is about 150,000 people. We're part of a large metropolitan area, but by and large, Denton is really safe. I live in Denton. Peter lives in Denton. We feel safe and secure here. Students feel safe, just like in any country. There are parts of town that you would have no business going to. You would have no reason to go there, and those are the parts that you will avoid, and that's where there may be some crime. But by and large, it's a safe, welcoming community for students from Indonesia, Muslim students of all faiths.
Thank you so much for answering. It's really enlightening to hear, and I'm sure that uh, everyone will feel safe and feel secure to come to a UNT soon to learn and to feel the welcoming Denton. And anyway, I have another question in the question and answer box. It's from Rayhan. It says, what kind of internship and job opportunity are available for international student? Which is it's quite interesting for international student to gain during the study and also after the study. Would you like to address or answer it, please?
Of course, I'll make a start, and Joe can add his observations as well. Of course, when a student comes to the US, their primary interest is to get a really good education. But in addition to that, what makes a program rich is, of course, also the opportunity to get some good internship experience, right? And the availability of really good internships is very much regionally dependent, right? Dallas-Fort Worth has a massive and still very fast-growing economy, recent influx of semiconductor companies, very large electrical vehicle companies, space exploration companies. The second largest oil company in the world Chevron just moved its head office back to North Texas. And so all of those opportunities are there in a very vibrant metropolis like Dallas-Fort Worth. So when students come here to study, they already can have the good interaction with these leading companies while they're a student. And then many of the programs that I've shown you in those four areas, analytics, engineering, health, and business, many of those programs are called STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, math, which means that for those programs, when you're in the US on an F1 visa, a student visa, you are allowed 3 years on that same visa of internship opportunity. And so there's lots of good opportunity there. Joe?
Yeah. So so for internships, the students that we see that get the really good internships, they do a lot of things. For one, of course, you want to do well. You want to do well in your courses. You want to do well in your coursework. You want to connect with faculty. So faculty are often the ones that have connections with industry near us. So if there's a particular course or something you're really, really interested in, connect with that professor, that faculty member, and meet with them and get to know them. And then you also want to join organizations. UNT has over 400 different student organizations. Some of these are just for fun, and some of these can be focused on your major or your desired career outcome. So you want to build your network. You want to do good in your courses. You want to build your network with your professors and with your student organizations. And then, of course, we do have job fairs. We have companies that come on campus that come and visit and they talk to students. So you want to participate in those. There are a few programs, for example, our undergraduate logistics program. They do have a built-in internship. So they require that you have an internship before you graduate. It's part of your course credit, and you will have advisors and faculty members that will help you with that internship. However, most are competitive. Most you go out and you need to secure those internships. But if you do those steps, as Pieter mentioned, we're in an awesome area where there's just so many opportunities for so many different companies and different industries. So I think that's unique to UNT. It's a fantastic opportunity for students.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the information. One following up question from me: is there any support that UNT will give to the international student to secure the internship or the work opportunity after they graduate? Or maybe is there any alumni networks or like companies network that student can access to get into that tax?
Yes, Flo. So, in fact, UNT has recently made a really interesting investment where not just for the university as a whole, but for each of the colleges within the campus, the university has invested in a career coach. And so for the students in each of the colleges, there are services available where it starts with resume writing, interview training, learning how to look on the internet for the internship opportunities. In fact, one of our key contacts, a gentleman called Andrew Chen, has just launched a really interesting piece of software called F1 Hire or F1 Frog. Frog means leap, right? Make the jump from your current studies into your career. It's a little green creature is the logo, and he helps with the searches specifically for international students who, of course, have to stay within their requirements for their visa. And so what that search does is it finds companies, for instance, that sponsor the H-1B work visas. And these tend to be the companies that also have the good internship available, OPT, for international students. So those are all services from our campus, a dedicated career coach in every college, the use of F1 Hire or F1 Frog, as it's now called, as an online platform as well. And so there's many good resources for our students to make that step. Joe already mentioned the regular career fairs that happen on our campus. And we are, in the US, you have two types of universities, right? You have the teaching universities and you have research universities. We are very much a research university. We are what's called a Division I Tier 1 Carnegie Research University, which means we're among the top 3% of research universities in the US. And that means there's lots and lots of labs on campus, laboratories, right? And those labs, they get their funding very much from industry, right? And so there's lots of great hookups with industry for the technology in those labs. And so the professors are very active in interacting with industry. And in that way, they're a great source to help place our students in exciting internship opportunities right here on our doorstep in Dallas.
It's a very sorry, my voice was kind of delayed. Thank you. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for the information. It's such a very great support for international student, and I wish that
Hey, Flo,
everyone
I saw
will
one
be
more
interested.
question. I saw
Yeah.
one more question that I think is a really important one for the students. They were asking about the cost of living, cost of studying. And I think for every student that has to be on their mind, right? It is a big investment. And so one of the things that really sets Texas and North Texas apart from a lot of other choices that you can have in the US, first of all, is the cost of living, right? The US is such a massive, big geographic place. And East Coast and West Coast in the US, so the Boston, New York area, and the California, Los Angeles, and San Francisco area, those are two of the most expensive places to live and study in the US, while North Texas is actually one of the most affordable places to live and study. And the difference for your budget can be many thousands of dollars per year. Why is North Texas more affordable? Well, North Texas, Texas has two components to our economy. There's certainly that big high-tech economy, but there's also still the traditional oil and gas economy. And oil and gas is a major, major source of revenue for the state of Texas. And therefore, the state of Texas is able to keep studying in Texas very affordable. And so that makes it a really good choice for students when they think about where in the US to study, to come to North Texas because it costs a lot less to live here and it costs a lot less to study here.
Well, that's interesting. I have some personal question. How about the international student living? Do they have to live on campus first, or they have freedom of choice to live on campus, whether it's on campus or off campus? And if they have to be living in on the campus, how long they have to stay in
Yeah.
the on-campus housing?
Joe, do you want to have a stab at that question?
Sure. Yeah, so for bachelor students, students doing their undergrad, typically they are required to live on campus for 1 year. We do have a commuter exemption. So if the student has family members in the area that they would like to live with, um, they can get exempt from being required to live in the dormitories. Graduate students are not required to live on campus, but we do have 14 dormitories, so students can choose to live by themselves, or they can choose to have one roommate or two roommates. So they do have a lot of options. And for freshmen, bachelor students, we do prioritize housing for international students. But yeah, just to recap, undergraduate students typically are required to live on campus for 1 year unless they do have a commuter exemption.
Okay, wonderful. I guess by living on campus, it's easier for students to commute, and by living on off campus, it's make them easier to explore more to the city and maybe connect to their peers and their friends. Um, Especially if they have a relative that live in Texas, it will be easier and way cheaper for them to live off campus with their family. And wait, I have to check on Q&A box first for to check at any some question. As you mentioned, there's a healthcare that's quite high demand, whether and I believe it's a high demand degree whether in the US and in another country. And is there any prerequisite or maybe certain admission process for international student who want to take healthcare degree in the UNT?
Yeah, so by and large, the healthcare programs are welcoming to students from many different prior fields, right? Whether you have a medical background and you want to continue on into a health informatics program or that kind of choice, or whether you've studied biology or whether you come from the natural sciences, or even where you come from some of the social sciences. For instance, we've seen students with a background in sociology, psychology, many of those backgrounds, they're welcomed into a number of our health programs. There are a few very specific programs. For instance, UMT has a health science center with our own medical school. And of course, admissions to medical school does require that you've completed a number of prerequisites, which are called the pre-med track, which you would do in a biology program. But by and large, programs like kinesiology, health informatics, public policy in health, public health administration, they welcome students from many different prior fields.
Thank you so much for the info. It's interesting to know that the international students have the chance. And I guess there's some, I guess Rizky is raising his hand. Let me check. And but there's a question, another question from Fido. Given the recent discussion on federal education funding, will there be any new opportunity for international student in terms of scholarship? Well, I guess it's interesting.
Really good question. My goodness, there's lots of theater going on in Washington at the moment, right? Every morning we wake up and we read the newspaper and we look at the news and we think, oh my goodness, what's going on next, right? I caution students to get too excited or too worried or too concerned about a lot of this. One, the US is a country of what's called checks and balances, right? Which means that even though some changes are suggested within the executive branch, that doesn't mean to say that the Congress or the judiciary, the judges, that they agree with it, right? And so at the moment you're seeing this back and forth, pull and pull, pull and push, kind of between the new administration and a lot of the traditional structure of US government. And this will play out in the next 2 or 3 years. What does not change, and keep this in mind, is one, the needs of an aging population don't change. Two, the fantastic network of sophisticated hospitals, sophisticated healthcare providing companies, sophisticated research that goes on campuses, all of that will continue. It may look a little different for a while, but it is definitely something that will not be something that in the future will suddenly not be needed, right? And so for students just starting out in either their master's studies for the next 2 years or bachelor studies for the next 4 years, in 2 to 4 years, the world can look very different again. And so I caution them not to worry too much about all the theater they see on TV today, right? Because beyond that, around the world, I was recently in Dubai, and there you saw that the health field is very much in development, and we have some amazing alumni who are there having awesome careers in the health industry, right? Remember, a degree from the US doesn't just limit you also to work in US, right? A degree from the US is considered as the gold standard of a quality education, which you can do around the world, whether that's in Jakarta or in Bangkok or in Ho Chi Minh. We have around the world networks of US educated professionals everywhere, right? And the beauty of studying in the US is that you join that global network of US educated professionals. And that's a network that's going to be with you for the next 30 years, right? And so keep an eye on that rather than the day-to-day struggles. Sometimes I see, oh, yes, the NIH, National Institute of Health, their grant for this or that got reduced. And that's maybe something that today is big news. But in the long run, world goes on. Health challenges go on. Health industry around the world goes on, right? Whoever is in the White House today, tomorrow, in 4 years.
And I'm just going to add to that real quick. When I was in Vietnam, there were similar questions about, and there were concerns about scholarships and scholarship funding and whether or not scholarships will be taken away. So just so you know, at UNT and we fund our own scholarships. So UNT generates the money that then goes into scholarships. So we are not dependent on federal money for scholarships. So no scholarship opportunities or assistantship opportunities will go away based on what's going on in the federal government. So I just wanted to, in case there was any doubt there.
Thank you for the information, and that's so reassuring. And no worries, everyone, about the new administration. I know it's quite confusing, and I know it's quite challenging because new government, new policy, and it's not gonna like affecting international student as well. And there's a few question and answer box from Arul. Are there any mentorship program or industry partnership at UNT? Would you like to think about that again, perhaps, because I think some of the audience just joining in. So
Yeah, it's a great question. And, mentorship is one of the best ways to learn, right? Let me explain an example. Our College of Business, for instance, has a number of what they call executive in residence. So these are very accomplished people who have had a terrific career in business and are now helping to mentor, coach, teach our students right here on campus. And so there's a wonderful opportunity for people to learn from that. In our own organization, UNT International, we have what we call the ambassadors, which are is mentorship from other students, right? Who are here, some of the seniors who are guiding the students who are just starting out and helping them to navigate our campus, understand the services, giving them tips and tricks on how to crack some of the exams and all of that, right? So there's lots of mentorship going on. Joe, do you want to add anything to that one?
Yeah, in terms of industry partnerships, there's a number of industry partnerships, specifically in engineering and business. We have certain programs that partner with companies and business. For example, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, we have a sports management program that partners with local sports teams, the Dallas Cowboys, which is headquartered 20-minute or about a half hour from us, the PGA, Professional Golfers Association, and our logistics program. I know they partner with DFW Airport and a lot of the big logistics firms around the company or around the North Texas area. So we're primarily a regional university that has grown with our region. So this region we're in, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, has grown rapidly, and a lot of our strong programs have evolved out of demands for the regional economy. So from that growth, we have quite a few industry partnerships. So it's a fantastic opportunity because some universities that are located in rural locations or where they're not near a lot of business or industry activity, they don't have those same connections. So again, it's a great opportunity here at UNT.
Well, thank you so much. And how does another question is how does UNT connect student with industrial leader and professional? We're following on the previous question. I guess it's quite related.
Yeah, I want to point to something that Joe already started describing, and I'll let him give you a sense of that. UNT has more than 400 student associations. So, for instance, there's a robotics club, there's an AI hackathon club, there's all these different organizations. They have weekly, monthly meetings, and they, through faculty, through other contacts, they invite speakers, they invite events, they invite themselves to get invited to go on industry visits around the region. And so there's a lot of student-driven contact with the new areas of technology, with the new areas of business, where they are either bringing these people here on campus or they're getting themselves invited to go and tour the exciting facilities that are near us. So that's the student-driven side of that.
Thank you for the explanation, Peter.
And I'm just going to add real quick, just an example of that. So we have a student assistant. I'm going to pick on him. His name's Yoshiki. He's from Japan, and he actually started his own student organization at UNT, and he has had a number of companies come visit through his organization. So Toyota of North America, their North American headquarters is about half hour away from us, and he has had speakers come visit and connect with students through his organization. Another opportunity, one of the fun things that'll occasionally happen, especially in business and engineering. Sometimes professors will just have speakers from industry come and visit and speak during their class, and it's kind of nice. You show up to class, and the professor says, "Hey, instead of going doing work today, I brought in a speaker from Accenture, or I brought in a speaker from this company, and they're just going to tell you about what they do and about this topic." And that's a really good opportunity that students can engage directly with industry during those sessions.
Thank you for the explanation. It seems like international students also have opportunity to or chance to create an organization too and connect with the professional as well. And anyway, I have a question from Aisha. It's about undergraduate student. Basically, what if the student doesn't know what kind of major that they want to take? Is there any help or guidance from UNT to help figure out? And is that okay if during the application we don't choose any kind of major yet? Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
so this is actually something we see quite a lot in our undergraduate student population. So a number of our undergraduate students start in what's called undeclared, right? Undeclared means you're still looking, you're excited about the university. You may know a few fields where you think you will be your home, for instance, business or engineering, but you want to just explore for a little bit. And the US education system is perfect for this. Why? Because we have what's called the liberal arts philosophy. Liberal arts means that early on in your program, for undergrad programs, it's not just that you have to taste different areas. You have to do some mathematics and physics. You also have to do some history and some language and some geography and different areas. And as you do that, you get a sense of where your academic home might be, right? And while you're doing that, you have your academic advisors on campus who are starting to have a dialogue with you about which courses do you like, which courses are you good at, and then they help structure what's called your academic plan. And so that's like a roadmap for the courses you're going to take in the next year and probably what direction you're going to go with your final choice of the major where you're going to graduate, right? But there's a lot of opportunity for you to still be very much seeking your way as to what really has your interest. This is very different from the school systems you see in many of the other locations around the world, right? I know from Indonesia, the students sometimes are looking to go study in Australia or in other parts of East Asia, or they're looking to go to the UK or Canada. All those locations, right? The UK, Canada, Australia, they all have a route in what's called the British, the UK education system, right? Which means in that system, it's very directive in the courses a student has to take. The US is very different. The US, you have much more flexibility in the kind of courses you pull into your program after you complete the core of your program.
Thank you. I see Rizky raise his hand. Would you like to speak to Peter and Joe in this forum?
Okay, thank you for the time, Ms. Florence and Mr. Peter and Mr. Joe. Let's see. I have seek out and find out about your university, University of North Texas. I've concerned about the material science, but especially in materials engineering. I'm found out is based on my background. My background is chemical engineering in bachelor degree. So I want to promote to master degree. Before that, I need to know something because my background career is in lubrication, machinery lubrication. It's in oil and grease. So I think it's match up when I'd like to join in master degree about the materials engineering. uh, Based on your story and your description is have a good company like Chevron in Texas, so it's a good for apply in master degree in applications research or something else. But before that, I need to know small detail about the materials engineering. If we know something about the materials engineering, maybe a lot of the text or a lot of the major course. But from this, when I joined to master degree in materials engineering, may I get the short course to data science engineering? Just like because it can be helpful for me to enterprise our data, but maybe just like wear material or about the transition gear or another. It makes a concern if we have the master in data science engineering, just like a short course. Second
Right.
questions. Second questions
Let us
about.
answer that. Let us answer that question first before we forget.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
Jo-
Okay, okay, okay.
Joe, do you want to have a start to answer that question?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Peter and I aren't engineers or data scientists, but yes, at least from what I understand, it sounds like you're interested in uh, uh, taking some science courses in addition to material science courses. In the engineering, in the graduate engineering department, a lot of these departments, material science, data science, biomedical engineering, computer science, they all work really closely together. And you can absolutely, if you want to, you will have the ability to kind of customize a program. Okay. So uh, I know there's many students who, for example, they do their master's in biomedical engineering, but then they also take a lot of data science courses, or they because they want to learn more about how it influences biomedical engineering and vice versa. Same with artificial intelligence, material science, even mechanical, electrical. So I don't know if this answers your question, but you will absolutely have the flexibility to customize your own program based on your own specific interests. Our engineering curriculum allows for you to do that. So the chairs in those departments work really closely together. So yes, that will not be a problem at all.
Okay, thank you, Joe, for description. And the next questions is about applied research. Because based on the Dallas near another company, big company, we can say, just like Chevron, have product diversity like oil or another. So, it is possible if I applied research about the machinery lubrication, but can be seems like apply to big company for the next research about the maybe just like lubrication machinery or another similar oil and grease, because it's my concern for apply this master in mechanical engineering in materials engineering.
Yeah. So here's your best way to go and find out the possibilities, right? It sounds like a good fit for you would be step one during your master's study to already join a lab here on campus that does research in those technologies, right? And then step two is to continue on in an internship in a company here in the greater Dallas area or Houston area, which is also very oil and gas intensive, and to continue on in perhaps the area of lubricants and that. So here's how you figure out if this is going to be a good fit for you. You can go on UNT's website, and under the tab of faculty, you can go to their faculty profile, and it is entirely searchable. So if you type in lubricants, that kind of those keywords, then what you'll see is you can find out which faculty are doing research in that area, which faculty are attending conferences in that area, which faculty have publications about the topic you're interested in. And then you can really go and narrow it down and go and research those specific labs and see what industry connections does the lab mention, what kind of companies do they work with, where do they source their equipment that they use for research in the lab, those kind of things, right? So it's going to require a bit of a deeper dive, and Joe is right? Joe and I are both not engineers to that extent that we would understand any of this, but we can show you through this mechanism how you can research it, right? So basically unt.edu, you go and look at within the, for instance, within engineering, you click on faculty, you look at their faculty profile, and in the search box at the top, you type in the types of technology in the lubrication area that you're interested in, and take it from there and find your way to the actual faculty and labs you're interested in.
Okay, thank you so much for description and explanation. I am so interesting about the material engineering, just like your university, I think. So thank you so much for the time.
Of
And
course. Thank you for your
Yeah, thank
great
you.
question. And you know,
Yeah.
with this kind of background and expertise, you're going to have no problem getting a student visa, right? Because you'll be able to explain very clearly to the consular officer what it is that you're looking to study in the US and why that makes sense. So well done. You're very much on track.
Okay, thank you, Risky, for the question. It's very interesting to know your background and very interesting to know your interest to study in material engineering. Let's wait for a few more questions if it's possible. Yeah, I guess I have a personal question regarding the financial aids that were affected under the new administration. Also, is there any like restriction or quota that will be implemented during the new administration, since I guess the government is quite stricter right now? And would you like to give some reassurance more to the international students so they feel at ease to come to the US?
So first of all, it seems that the first part of your question was about financial aid. In the US, you have two streams, right? You have money, and then Joe's already explained this a bit. You have money that comes from the federal government. Does not affect international students, because international students in the US have never had access to federal funding, right? Federal funding, what they call in US financial aid, is for people who are resident or citizen of the United States. On campus, there are many, many other sources of support for students, scholarships and the like, which are not based on federal money, right? Not on the money at the country level, but money more at the state level, money more locally here from our institution itself. And those forms of funding are still very much available for international students. Now, regarding further changes in immigration policies and the like, remember that the US is and will always be very welcoming to what we consider legal immigration, right? Which means you come through a proper visa request, you're here to be within that visa requirement. So you're a student, you're an intern, those kind of paths are there, will be there in the future. Will there possibly be a few more restrictions on some countries of origin where the US is currently exploring legitimate path towards students? Absolutely, right? We do expect in the next couple of weeks that we may see a few more restrictions. These are likely restrictions to countries where there's been wars and things like that in the past, right? Think about Yemen, think about Afghanistan, those kind of countries where, because of the conflict that has gone on in the past, there's still a concern about risk for the US. Quite frankly, my estimation that for the countries on the call today, Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, I'm thinking that there's a really good possibility that you will not see a change in immigration policies there. But you have to keep an eye on the news and see what happens. But I'm very hopeful that you will not see a change there. From each of those countries, we have an amazing group of students who are here on our campus. We've just had the Lunar New Year celebration that happened. Now from some of the Muslim nations, of course, you have the Ramadan period. All of those festivities and observances are held here on our campus. And so keep in mind, students are super welcome here at North Texas.
Thank you. Anyway, for Sikri, I know that you were interested in material engineering, and rest assured, UNT is the right place for you. And we as AECC will help you to go to your main destination, and we can also help you to apply to the UNT and also taking care for the visa application and also housing arrangement. Do not hesitate to be in touch with AECC and we'll probably see you in UNT really soon, right?
All right. Well, with that, we thank you so much, Flo and Donnie. A wonderful event tonight. Thanks for all the wonderful support you give to our students. And so we'll end up and say selamat datang, selamat pagi, and we hope to be with you soon again.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Joe. Thanks,
Thank
Pieter.
you all.
Thank you for the all.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Have a nice day.